Origin Jazz Homestead Reaction. This is America's Ace of Aces, Richard Bong. Bachao, the Federation. Yes, on the Federation video. Holy shit, is an hour and 10-minute video. Okay, he's reaching into documentary sizes now. Not the first one, I think he did an hour long, but yeah. Is this the longest video? I think he has made like close to an hour or something like that, right? I don't know. Obviously, we'll do this in two parts because if I were to do reaction of this, it would be like 1.5 hours. And I don't think anybody's sitting that long enough. So yeah, Ace of Aces. So aces meaning whoever shoot down 5 planes. Ace of Aces is just a term like best of the best type of way, or is that some like statistical thing there? Maybe, like how aces means 5, Ace of Aces is something more. So yeah, this is gonna be an interesting video. Federation videos are always awesome because you always somehow find some story about some badass people, like untouchable people that apparently nobody knows about, or at least most people don't know about it, right? Or at least I thought like I'm the only idiot who doesn't know, but then I saw the comments like, okay, people are also like finding this all the badass people through Federation apparently. So he somehow is just like great at that, like digging through the stories and apparently making an hour-long video. So I guess a lot of things happen here. So it's gonna be interesting. Let's watch it. Remember to flag my reaction, don't forget to subscribe so that way I know which type of videos to react tomorrow. I've done quite a few Federation reactions already. Federation stories, his equipment video, which is I kind of miss, right? I mean, he's also he really hypes up the guns, planes, tank. But this is not a bad set. I think he should make more like equipment videos in Fat Files as well because he has secondary channel. Fat Files videos about Costco and things. And yeah, also like unsubscribe podcast type of way. I've never come across any creator which everything he does, I like it so much that I like, anything he makes is just awesome. Even his podcast, I'm not a podcast guy. I don't listen to podcasts. But Federation podcast is awesome. Brandon is there and other people are there too. So yeah, that's always fun.
Being an ace means that you downed 5 enemy aircraft. Being a double ace means that you downed 10 enemy aircraft. But being the ace of aces means that you downed the most enemy aircraft. Today we're talking about Richard Ira Bong. He is America's ace of aces, credited with downing 40 enemy planes in the Pacific theater of World War II from the cockpit of his legendary P-38 Lightning, Marge, affectionately nicknamed after his wife. And just to be clear, when I say he's credited with downing 40 enemy planes, those are confirmed either by film or by eyewitness. He downed 40 planes. That does not include his probables. That does not include all the planes that he critically damaged first and then let his men finish off so that it could boost their morale. And it does not include the giant crocodile. But we're gonna get to that right after an awkwardly relevant word from our sponsors. This video is brought to you by War Thunder. They've got over 20.
Alright, so Ace of Aces means like you have such a high number, they just say fuck it, Ace of Aces type of way. So there is double ace, obviously maybe triple ace, but they're like 40 planes, so let's just call it Ace of Aces. I knew there were people like that, right? Federation made some videos about people who like credited with ace, and I'm like 5 plane, 10 plane. And I know in modern times, shooting down any plane is like an achievement because there's not many dogfighting thing is rare. But in world wars and times like that, there must have been like ridiculous amount of numbers, right? And I know there is some German guy, there's also some British guy who's like known for this. So there must be people who like down way too many planes. Obviously people like this exist.
2,500 tanks, planes, and ships, pretty much all of them between World War II and modern time. And my favorite part about it is not only how accurate the vehicles are, but all the historical Easter eggs that they also have in the game. For an awkwardly relevant example, let's say that I wanted to play as a P-38, but I don't want to just play as any P-38. I want to play as Richard Bong's P-38. It's actually possible to get an exact replica of his legendary plane, Marge. It has the red nose cones and wingtips that were unique to him because paint was so hard to come by in the Pacific theater. It has the portrait of his wife and the cursive lettering Marge next to it, as well as all the flags symbolizing his downed enemies, even the serial number.
Yeah, war is such a logistical nightmare that after World War II, right? Yeah, after World War II, or was it World War, I don't know. In Britain, only paint was left, was the like paint they used for the planes, like that greenish color, right? What is the color's name? I forgot. But they're like dark green color that British used on the planes, like Spitfire and things. So that is the only color they made because it was wartime. Luxury wasn't the point, right? War was the only point. So they only had that color laying around. So any Land Rovers and things like that were always painted that color. It only came with that color, I'm pretty sure it was after World War One, not World War Two, right? But yeah, it came with only that color. Like, you want to buy? Yeah, this is the only color we have. That is insane.
On the side is accurate. And it's not just the paint job that's accurate, it's everything else. You can go in and see what type of engines his plane had. You can see what kind of guns and cannons are in the nose cone. You can see what type of bombs it's capable of dropping. You can see the self-healing fuel tanks, the cockpit, everything. And then after you're done checking everything out, you can actually go fly it and shoot down enemies yourself. So if you wanted to give War Thunder a try, it is free to play on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. And when you use my link down below, it's going to get you a bunch of freebies to get you started off on the right foot. And then of course we do have to give a special thank you to Delete Me. It's the best business model on the planet. You give them money, they make sure that data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information.
She didn't come with a
if
gun.
You like privacy, you're going to love Delete Me. As always, that's going to be linked down below and over at thefatelectrician.com. Let's get back to the video. All right, September 24th, 1920, Richard Bong is born. He grows up on his family farm in Poplar, Wisconsin, an extremely small rural town. His father, Carl, is a first-generation Swedish immigrant, and Richard is the oldest of 9 siblings. Okay, look, I'm not going to beat this into the ground, but I need us all on the same page. Richard Bong is a farm kid from the Midwest that grew up during the Great Depression as the oldest of 9 siblings, okay? He was probably tougher than me and you combined by the time that he was 8 years old. I'm just going to leave it at that. Speaking of when he was 8 years old, that is actually when fate would step into this story. You see,
yeah, God knows how many people have that kind of background, right? Like, you're from like middle America, Midwest or whatever, right? Minnesota or whatever, right? And you don't have much going on. You only have farm, and you just like focus all your attention into athletics. People, there are way too many people are saying like, in today's world there will be no Einstein or like Newton. Why? Because we have shit like Netflix or something. Because we are never bored. We have something that just like pleases our senses. There are people who live farm life who's so bored out of their mind that they have one objective. They focus on one objective because their life is so shit. I mean, look at Brock Lesnar, right? That's the most famous guy in this way I can think of in today's world, right? All the achievement he has is like, people, there's not much of achievement, really. All the shit he has done, 99% of people can't do that. Even the best of the best people you know of, they're best of the best in one field. Brock was in many fields, even in entertainment. His background is like that, right? He was just like a farm kid doing farm shit, and he only had wrestling, and real wrestling, amateur wrestling to look forward to. And look at what he did with the NCAA. Obviously with a bit of roids, but still. Too many people are on roid. Not everybody's Brock Lesnar. So there are way too many people who has that kind of like a background.
Young Richard, or Dick as everybody called him at this point, was pretty much your average farm kid from the 1920s. He got up before the sun did chores until it was time to go to school, went to school, did the best he could, came home, worked until the sun went down, had dinner, went to bed. But then in the summer of 1928, something amazing happened, or at least something amazing to an 8-year-old that's never seen a plane that's grown up in a cornfield. A plane flew by one morning. But it wasn't just any plane, it was a US Army plane, and it flew by so low that Richard could actually see the pilot in the cockpit, and he waved at him, and the pilot actually waved back. Then later that day, when Richard was doing his evening chores out in the field, the plane...
How slow was the plane? If it's low enough that a pilot can see you and you can do that, I guess the plane was like barely cruising. I don't know.
Flew by again, this time going the other way. And the next morning, the same thing happened. And the day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that. It went on for weeks. Richard has no idea at the time, but that plane is actually carrying the mail of President Calvin Coolidge, who had decided to take his summer vacation in the next town over, Superior, Wisconsin. And it just so happens that the Bong family farm is directly in the flight path. This seemingly random act of fate is what sparks Dick Bong's initial interest in aviation. And at the age of 8 years old, he becomes completely obsessed. Every spare second he has with his extremely busy manual labor-filled childhood, he spends researching and studying aviation. He reads every book from every public library that he can convince his parents to take him to. For every birthday and Christmas, he is asking for scale model replicas of different planes. But then one day his dad, a World War I veteran, tells him a story that he remembers from his time in the service. The incredible story of America's ace of aces, Eddie Rickenbacker, the race car driver that turned into a fighter pilot and is credited with downing 26 enemy aircraft, more than any other American during World War I. And with that, it becomes Dick Bong's life ambition to become a fighter pilot. Okay, but here's the problem.
Oh, wait a minute. Ace of aces. So anybody who goes at 5 ace or above, he's usually... So anybody who has like more than 20 or like 25 would be like ace of aces, 5x5. That I'm guessing that, right? Otherwise would be like twice 3 aces, 4 aces, and then like 5 aces feels weird. So ace of aces, I think, right?
With that, at this point in time, America's not at war, and generally speaking, whenever a country, particularly America, is not at war, the standards of certain jobs or the entry into the military at all gets raised pretty significantly because they only want the best of the best because there's a limited amount of jobs. When there is a war, they need a bunch of more people, the standards get lowered, we bring a bunch of people in, okay? Now, there's no war, so the standards are very high. If you want to be a fighter pilot, you need to be a military officer and you have to have gone to college for 2 years. Why is that such a problem? He's like 10 when he decides this. So like 1930, the Great Depression started in 1929, okay? During the Great Depression, over 20,000 American schools just closed down and kids couldn't even go to school if they wanted to. And most of the kids didn't want to because they had to stay home and work or go do odd jobs to try to make money so that their family didn't starve to death. So for a farm kid growing up in rural Wisconsin, this is going to be an extremely uphill battle.
What? How bad things were in Great Depression? I mean, I know the name, but then again, like I always have this kind of warped image, not warped, time-wise warped image of America, like a rich country, the end, right? First of the first world. But then again, this was like 100 years ago. So like how bad the situation was. And this is like after World War I and things like, I don't know. Right? Global economy probably not doing great. And yeah, that is so insane. Schools closed down. Like you can't even afford school. People have to do multiple jobs just to survive. In America, that's insane.
And despite that, he does it anyways. He goes to school, he works his ass off, and he is almost the top of his class every single year. And then he gets to his junior year of high school and he finishes it. Problem, his town just doesn't have a senior year for high school, so he can't graduate. So he does the only thing he can do. He figures it out. He enrolls in Superior, Wisconsin High School, 30 miles away, and just figures out how to make it to school every single day and ends up graduating 14th in his class of over 400. Okay, next problem, gotta go to college. Finally, this kid catches a break because there's also a college in Superior, Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin Superior. So he applies, he gets in, starts going to college. He's not really going for anything in particular. He has zero ambitions of getting or finishing any degrees. He just needs to get 2 years worth of credits to be a fighter pilot because that's all he cares about. And then fate.
By the way, Superior, Wisconsin, like that name, you better be good after that, right? Because your name's Superior. So it's like the level of pressure is there. Like you better be good.
Seemingly steps in again. In 1938, so his first year of college, the United States government passes the Civil Aeronautics Act, which is essentially on paper what they said it was for was to train the next generation of pilots because commercial flight and a bunch of other things was going to become available on the civilian side. What it was actually for was the US government knew that World War II was looming and they wanted to get as many people trained in flying planes as possible so that hopefully a bunch of them would either volunteer to go into the military or they could then draft them into the military because they knew they were going to need a ton of pilots if war broke out. So the United States government is going to foot the bill for college.
That is so insane, right? Like all the things Hitler were doing at very early stages, people like, oh shit, this is gonna go bad. And then with the power of hindsight, they saw like what happened with the Weimar Republic and everything, like with the Accords and things, how much pressure was put on Germany, like how everybody's like starving, that economy, like it's just fucked up. And now this guy Hitler who's like ambitious. A lot of people basically, oh no, there's another thing coming, right? They probably wouldn't have thought like how bad it's gonna turn out to be, but they probably thought like some kind of war is coming, which is like, it's like really insane, right? I mean, is there some element of like that going on today, right? Because I know US is preparing for China, right? There are a lot of plans about Navy and Marines are like tuned to that. Marines are changing things, and usually that means that probably gonna be something's gonna happen in future. Because military and government don't prepare like that unless they're kind of sure.
Students to learn how to become pilots, and as it would just so happen, one of the first colleges in the country to get this program was the University of Wisconsin Superior, and Dick Bong was one of the first people to apply and get accepted. So now he's getting college credit to fly planes. It's like a dream come true. He absolutely loves it. He is a complete natural at flying. He is the top of his class when he finishes the course. He then gets enough college credits to get accepted into the military academy in June of 1941, and right as he is about to graduate from the academy, the attack on Pearl Harbor happens. This changes the entire trajectory of Dick's career. You got to realize he's almost done with his training, and now there's going to be this massive wave of new recruits that both volunteered and got drafted coming in behind him. So he's like in this bottleneck, essentially getting shoved through the training as fast as possible. And when he gets out of the training, he's going to be one of the most experienced pilots the military has, and pretty much all of their pilots are going to end up being trainers, including Dick Bong. He ends up getting stuck being a gunnery instructor on the T6 Texan, and honestly, it probably sucks, right? Because he ends up having to instruct all the new guys, and then the new guys get to go off to war and have his dream job. He's been working his ass off since he was 8 years old to meet these incredibly high standards, and then the second he meets those standards, gets his foot in the door, a mob of people comes running past him, and he's basically stuck there holding the door open for everybody else. And the T6 Texan at this point in time that he's training all these guys on is just a trainer plane. Like, they're not sending T6 Texans out onto the battlefield. So he's literally stuck teaching guys how to fly the trainer plane, which means that Dick Bong hasn't really been assigned to what type of pilot he's gonna be, and he really doesn't have a say if that day ever even comes. So he's actually training all these guys in gunnery, so how to be a fighter pilot, even though he's not even assigned as a fighter pilot. If his day comes where they do send him to war, they can still make him a bomber pilot. So he's essentially training people to take his dream job from him.
Merry Christmas. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah.
But then one day, as fate would have it, yet again, on May 1st, 1942, a fighter pilot shows up to his airstrip in a brand new P-38, and he wants some extra training. And Dick's happy to oblige, but the problem is he's flying a T-6 Texan, and this guy's in a P-38. The T-6 Texan is so old and outdated that it's only getting used as a training vehicle, and the P-38 is the hot new thing, okay? It's better than the T-6 in pretty much every conceivable way. Dick Bong is probably about to get smoked. Despite that, Dick Bong dons his...
Damn. He's like somebody basically having F-22 today compared to what, F-14 or something? Yeah? Or F-4, I don't know. So something like a leap like that. Imagine that, you're training people. Like, is that how it's gonna work, teacher? Right? And he's like, fuck if I know. I've never flew one of the... Like, I'm stuck here. This is the plane I know. Right? I just came out. I wanted to do that. I don't even have that experience yet. And I'm teaching all of you. But the point is, like, his whole dream was to be a pilot like that. Was going to war, he's like really, because a lot of people for attrition covered is just like those people like, I want to be in the war, I want to be in the middle, I want to do this for my country or something, or just like these other people who just like want to fight, I guess, bloodthirsty type of people. Was this Richard Bong like that, or was he just like dreamy about just planes? Because if that's the case, like he's training, he's flying plane, but obviously like that's his dream is to fly the best plane in scenarios like war, obviously.
His plot armor and goes in and actually whoops this P-38 pilot's ass 15 times over. If this was a real dogfight, he would have shot him down multiple times. They land, the P-38 pilot gets out, goes, debriefs with Dick's chain of command, and informs them that's the best natural pilot I've ever come across, ever. He's like, that dude's in a T-6 Texan and I couldn't get him off of me. Why is he here? At which point the chain of command's like, maybe we should do something with him. So they assign him to a fighter wing and send him off to go train on the P-38 Lightning. All right, we need to take a minute and fully appreciate how badass the P-38 Lightning is, because it's probably one of the most slept-on planes of World War II.
I like how they're like chain of command is like, that dude is insane, untouchable, like, I mean, I thought he's really good at training because he's really good at the training plane. Maybe because he's good at plane. Have you ever thought of that? Like that? How many people are probably stuck at shit like that who could have been really good at something else just because chain of command is just a dick or something, just like lost in papers or something. Oh, he's good. We need him for training. I don't care how good he is somewhere else. That's insane.
And for that reason, it's probably my favorite. Now, the reason the P-38 gets overlooked so often is because, generally speaking, whenever we're talking about fighter planes in World War II, we're talking about either the European theater or the Pacific theater. And when we're talking about the Pacific, it's usually carrier-based planes that we're talking about, because that was all the biggest battles of the Pacific theater. The Battle of Midway, the Battle of the Philippine Sea. They were all carrier-based aircraft, and the P-38 is not that. We also didn't see it very much in the European theater because it didn't perform very well in the colder temperatures seen at the higher altitudes above Europe. took. But it was absolutely wrecking house above North Africa and the Pacific Theater. It was just taking off from islands instead of aircraft carriers. The Germans that ran into it over North Africa...
That is such a good point, right? Like, too many elements you need to think about when you think about planes. Even today, like, F-18 is mostly used. Why? Because America fights in, like, like Europe, Pacific, things like that. Aircraft carriers. F-18 is that, right? And there are other planes who's like probably doesn't have that great of a fuel range. So people have to think about, I guess, F-35 now, more fuel like F-22. Does it have a range? What if you have to fight in Taiwan? So there's many issues like that you need to think about. You just think that, oh, this is point blank best plane. But is that going to work though, right? People think about that a lot. Because logistics always is, comes as important, right? You can't just like video game like best of the best plane, but yeah, does it have range? Can it do this? Is it like, can it go on an aircraft carrier?
Started referring to it as the fork-tailed devil, and the Japanese called it 2 planes, 1 pilot. Yes, I realize there was a shitty joke there about a cup and a couple of girls, but we're not going to make that joke. We're just going to keep moving. Enemy pilots absolutely hated going up against the P-38 Lightning because it wasn't really a fight. It was more or less them getting sucker punched, and then if they were lucky enough to survive, they got to lose a drag race after that. And this is because the P-38 Lightning isn't a fighter plane, right? The first letter in a plane's name is its designation. For example, F stands for fighter, B stands for bomber. So the F-4F Wildcat is a fighter. It starts with the letter F. The B-17 is a bomber. It starts with the letter B. P actually stands for pursuit, like the P-51 Mustang, but it's technically not a pursuit plane either because it didn't meet the criteria. It's just the one that fit the closest. They actually had to come up with a new designation just for this plane because it was so overpowered, they didn't have a category that it fit into. You see, the P-38 was actually designed prior to World War II, so nobody had any idea what aerial combat was gonna look like, so they were just like, fuck it, let's make a plane that's awesome at everything. The committee in charge of developing the P-38 literally just looked around at all of the other types of planes, the fighters, the pursuits, the bombers. It was like, yeah, we want all of the upsides and none of
the hell is a pursuit? Is that mean interceptors? That's not pursuit, it's intercepting. Pursuit is a plane? Are there pursuit planes today? Because this could be the old thing now. Like today, maybe there's no pursuit planes, who knows?
The downsides, make it happen. The spec sheet that they put out to military contractors on what they wanted this plane to be capable of didn't really read like a spec sheet. It read more like an impossible wish list. Nobody even knew if this was possible. They wanted this plane to be able to fly a minimum of 360 miles an hour in level flight, which at this point in time was fucking booking it. But I mean, you could build a fast plane, that's not really an issue. Then they also wanted it to have a ton of firepower. They wanted it to have 4 50 caliber machine guns and a 20 millimeter cannon, which, okay, a little bit harder, but you can still build a fast plane that's got a couple of guns on it. They also wanted it to be able to climb up to 20,000 feet in less than 6 minutes. Okay, now we're really pushing what a plane can do. Oh, and by the way, we also want it to be able to carry 1,000 pounds of bombs while it does it, which is really the tipping point because now not only is that borderline impossible, it's also not even allowed because technically a fighter and a pursuit airplane are only allowed to have 500 pounds of bombs. They want to double it and make it faster than any other fighter on the market and have more guns than pretty much any other fighter. So when they put out the bid for this plane to be built, they're not allowed to call it a fighter or a pursuit aircraft because it exceeds the limitations for those categories. So they're like, fuck it, we're just going to come up with our own category. We're going to call it the Interceptor. Good. Yeah, the committee in charge of developing the P-38 is on some gangster shit. They're like, well, we can't call it a pursuit aircraft because that implies that they might actually get away and they're not gonna. And we can't call it a fighter because that implies that they stand a chance once we get there and they don't. So we're actually gonna request an interceptor, which is some shit that we just made up, okay? The moral of that story is that this should actually be called the I-38 Lightning, not the P-38 Lightning. The problem with this is all...
So I was kind of right. This is the first of the interceptors. Makes sense. Like intercepting is just like, bam, there you go. You kind of like, just chase it down. That's what interceptors are supposed to do. They're insanely fast. Straight line. So yeah, I guess there was a time where pursuit was a thing. So you just pursue it and see where it goes, like slowly chasing it. But yeah, interceptor, there you go.
All just one big ask, and none of the defense contractors think that this is even possible to actually make. Except for one, Lockheed, because they have this new badass aeronautical engineer by the name of Kelly Johnson. If you don't know who Kelly Johnson is, he's the man that would later go on to be the founder of Skunk Works, America's premier top secret plane development program that is responsible for a ton of innovation like the SR-71 Blackbird and the F-22 Raptor. So Kelly Johnson and his crew are the ones that are going to take on the challenge of developing the P-38 Lightning, and it becomes very apparent to them.
Okay, what for Northrop? Was that even a thing? Northrop around this time? McDonnell Douglas, isn't McDonnell Douglas like really old? I think they were around, I don't know. But yeah, there you go, Lockheed. You can't go wrong with Lockheed apparently.
Pretty much right out of the gate, it's not possible to do this with a single plane engine like most fighters have, so they're like, we're going to have 2 plane engines. So like, fuck it, let's just take 2 fighters and slap them together. I mean, it works in checkers, why wouldn't it work in aerial combat, right? Jimmy, grab that fighter plane, bring it over here and king me. And just so we're all on the same page, a single one of these engines is more than enough to keep this plane in the air. With 2...
Basically that Jeremy Clarkson Top Gear episode where they were making amphibious vehicle and they're like, this is 750 horsepower propeller. I need 2. And there's like, what, 2? That's going to be too much. No, I need 2. That's the thing.
2 of them, this plane is going to be capable of traveling 413 miles an hour in level flight. To put that into perspective, that's roughly 100 miles an hour faster than any other fighter plane on the planet at this point in time in 1940.
He's so fast. He makes fast people look not fast.
Not only is it going to be significantly faster, it's also going to have significantly more firepower. Most fighters have like 450 caliber machine guns. The P-38 is going to have 450 caliber machine guns and a 20 millimeter cannon mounted in the nose, and it can carry bombs or rockets. And then on top of that, not only do these massive engines allow it to go faster while carrying more firepower, it also is allowed to operate at a higher altitude, meaning that now they are always going to have the high ground when they enter into a dogfight. So when the P-38s show up, they get to attack you from above at speeds that you can't match, and then if you're lucky enough to survive, they get to just roadrunner themselves out of the equation because they're 100 miles an hour faster than you and you can't catch them. But that's assuming that they want to run away, because the P-38 Lightnings are also more maneuverable than a ton of modern fighters as well, because the massive dovetail allows them to catch more wind, giving them a tighter turn radius, so they can probably beat you in a dogfight anyways. They are an absolute nightmare to deal with, and Dick Bong is about to go train and become Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that plane is basically, what was that like? Nintendo NES game, 1944 or something, right? Whether the planes like this you basically fight it with. I'm pretty sure 1944, right? That's the game's name.
So by June of 1942, Bong is nearing the end of his training on the P-38. He's exceptional at flying it. He's the top of his class. And then he goes and does something kind of stupid. So he's out on one of his last training flights that he's ever going to have in the P-38. And he decides, you know, it'd be pretty cool since I'm about to graduate and I probably won't get in very much trouble because they're going to send me off to war anyways. I should take my P-38 and weave it in and out of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And then I should fly it right down Market Street, 30 feet above the street, literally in between the buildings.
Did he just play GTA? Did he just become, what is it, Carl Johnson, CJ? Yeah, there you go, San Andreas. I'm pretty sure I remember doing that in San Andreas, basically, which has San Francisco in it as one of the 3 cities, right? Yeah, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. Yeah. There you go.
Buildings of San Francisco. So that's what he does. And his plane is flying so low to the ground that the wind coming off of it is actually ripping clothes off of clotheslines throughout San Francisco. And then he makes his way back to the base and he is in a whole world of trouble, more than he ever thought he would be. And this is the part where most people are like, oh, he's probably going to get in trouble because that seems pretty dangerous. And like, yeah, that's a small part of it, but you have to appreciate the bigger context of what's going on at this point in time, right? It's June 1942. The attack on Pearl Harbor happened 6 months ago, okay? And this kid decided it'd be funny to take his very strange, lesser-known...
People probably pissed their pants, like, damn, Japanese are here, we are so dead. This is so good. This dude is like, okay, this like... I don't know, this is basically, what if somebody tried to do a stunt with a plane after 9/11? What would have happened? This is similar to that. After Pearl Harbor, he just decided to do this with a plane. What the hell?
own military-looking plane and fly it through a national monument and then down the middle of a major metro area. In San Francisco, of all places, which is probably one of the most likely targets of the Japanese Empire if they were going to attack America again, similar to how they did at Pearl Harbor. This scared the holy shit out of a lot of people. I mean, rightfully so. This is literally no different than if a commercial pilot decided to fly his commercial airliner really close to a skyscraper in New York City in January of 2002. Okay, like, a lot of people are really freaked out by this, and they have a great reason to be. Now, in Dick Bong's defense, obviously...
Yeah, San Francisco, right? Pacific coast. Yeah, no, wait a minute. Yeah. West Coast, yeah, West Coast. So, San Francisco, Los Angeles, probably Las Vegas. So these are the major cities there, right? One of the famous cities. So yeah, especially San Francisco because it's much closer, just like Los Angeles, while Las Vegas is a bit inside. So yeah, Los Angeles and San Francisco, these two would have been like really high alert. Imagine living there like, okay, Pearl Harbor just happened. Anytime Japanese attack can happen, like Pearl Harbor here. That's insane.
He wasn't thinking about that at the time. He's like a 21-year-old dumb kid that's just excited inside of a fucking warplane. Like, a lot of people would have done the same exact thing. He feels horrible, and he gets called in to General Kenny's office, the guy running the entire training program, and he's shitting his pants. He knows that he is about to get probably kicked out of the military, grounded, potentially even thrown in jail. And General Kenny has been following Bong's career closely ever since he showed up at school to learn how to fly the P-38, and he is super disappointed that his top student would decide to do something this stupid. He brings him into the office. Dick Bong is nervous. This kid's shitting bricks. He can barely look the general in the eye, and the general's basically like, dude,
what the fuck, man?
And Dick does the best thing he absolutely could have done. He just completely owns up to it and is honest and upfront with General Kenny. He's like, look, I'm sorry. I'll take whatever punishment I need. That wasn't my intention. I was just a young, dumb kid, excited, horsing around. It wasn't the right thing to do. I'm sorry. And at this point, General Kenny realizes on one hand, you can't do this shit, but on the other hand, this is exactly the type of guy you're gonna need if you want to win this war. He then tells Dick, and I quote, son, the fact is, if you didn't want to do loops through that bridge or fly down Market Street at second floor level, I wouldn't want you. Now I'm paraphrasing for this part, but he more or less says, so here's what's gonna happen. I had a woman call the base this morning, furious that one of my planes took out all of her laundry off of her clothesline and blew them all over Market Street. So you're gonna go, you're gonna find that woman, you're going to do her laundry, and then while it's drying, you're gonna do any chore around the house that she asks you to. You're then gonna fold her laundry, and then you're gonna come back, and this shit never happened, and he tears up all the reports and throws them in the trash. So Bong, realizing he's basically getting a second chance, happily runs off and does that, and like an hour later, General Kenny gets a phone call to inform him that he's no longer going to be running the training for P-38s outside of San Francisco. He's being moved into the Pacific Theater, and he is going to be running the entire air war in the Pacific. And he requests that he has one pilot come with him that he wants to remain under his command, and that pilot's name is Dick Bong.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
So fast forward like a month, Bong is over in the Pacific Theater. He's setting up shop. He's getting his plane squared away. He's getting ready to fight this war. And then there's this advisor for the U.S. government that comes in, some fighter pilot from World War I that's going around from airbase to airbase, consulting and basically just seeing what's going on and, you know, making suggestions. This fighter pilot's name was Eddie Rickenbacker, Bong's childhood hero, America's original ace of aces. So Rickenbacker's over there. He's talking to Bong and some other young pilots and General Kenny. He's telling them stories, and they get on the topic of how he actually broke the record and got 26 downed enemy aircrafts. And Eddie Rickenbacker tells him, well, for one, we were flying over land, so whenever I shot somebody down, there was never any doubt, right? So like I could see the wreckage on the ground later that day. I could go back and check, and we could verify things, whereas you guys are fighting over the ocean. If you shoot a plane down, it sinks. We have no idea if you actually shot it down or not. And the other thing is there's so many Germans in the sky of World War I just had more opportunities than you guys are probably going to have. At this point, Dick Bong chimes in and is like, actually, sir, I hear we have plenty of Japanese to shoot at up in the sky around here. Eddie Rickenbacker kind of just smiles, clearly understanding that this was a challenge from this young pilot. And he says, I'll tell you what, if you can shoot down more Japanese than I shot down Germans, I'll buy you a case of scotch. At which point, General Kenny immediately says, and I'll double it. And then the next man up the chain of command, General Hap Arnold, hears about this and says, and I'll buy a case of champagne. And then the next guy up the chain of command, General MacArthur, says, I'll double the champagne as well.
Double it!
Then
I like it just like from, oh, I'll buy you this, I'll double it. There's somebody in the doorway, like, give you champagne, and then you hear like distant scream, I'll double the champagne. Like everybody's talking, everybody's like, that is so insane. Man, I love this. Like from the San Francisco thing, blowing the lingerie thing, right? Basically, Suicide Squad element, right? Again, right? This shit doesn't work in civilized world. But I'm not fighting civilized world. I'm fighting a war against an enemy who just like in the name of honor is ready to kill themselves with kamikaze and shit or whatever, right? So this is exactly what I need, which is just basically what Suicide Squad is all about, right?
Unfortunately, this gets picked up by the media and they make a big deal out of it. You know, they've got the picture and the headline, and it's like, America's ace of aces, Eddie Rickenbacker, and America's top generals make bets for alcohol with young pilots to down enemies. And there's like a bunch of public backlash because you got to remember, Prohibition was 10 years prior. Alcohol is still very controversial, and a bunch of people feel like, you know, you shouldn't be bribing these young men with alcohol. They should just go out there and fight and never have fun and come back home. Because of that, the change.
Yeah, just like they should do the job. It's supposed to be like engineers do, like firefighters do. Dumbass, you're in war. War is not something supposed to happen. It is happening. You have to do it. War is not some everyday civilized world shit. As soon as war starts, all the civilized shit goes outside the window. Unspeakable things happen in war, right? All these Geneva Conventions like just intensify later on, right? Around this time, was that even a thing? I don't even know, like World War II, right? And like all the shit Nazis were doing around this time, Japanese and Nanking, all that, right? This is war. Oh, we shouldn't like bribe, kids with alcohol. Whatever works. The fuck you on about? This is war. Those kids are probably gonna die because that's how it happens in war before they even reach like middle 20s or something, right? If they want to drink alcohol, they can drink fucking alcohol.
Chain of Command kind of backpedals. They put out a statement being like, okay, fine, whatever. We changed the bet to Coca-Cola instead. And then they ended up giving Dick Bong and a bunch of other young pilots a ton of Coca-Cola, and it ends up being his favorite drink.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
Now, Bong isn't ready to be the man yet, right? He's never actually been in combat, so he needs to be tutored. He needs to go out there.
Was this a time where Coca-Cola had actual Coke or something, right? Because that was the case, I believe, very early times. So there was actual Coke in it or something.
With an actual experienced pilot that's going to help guide him through the chaos of battle. And he gets assigned to be the wingman to one of America's top aces at this point in time, a guy by the name of Thomas Lynch. In December of 1942, Bong is out on a mission in a squadron of 12 P-38s led by Sam Lynch, and they end up running in to 40 Japanese planes, and they actually engage. They actually end up shooting down 12 Japanese planes, 2 of which were knocked out by Bong himself, earning him his first 2 downed enemy aircraft and a Silver Star. From here on out, it's just consistent. 1 enemy here, 2 enemies there. By the next month, January 1943, Dick Bong becomes an ace pilot after downing 5 enemy aircraft. And right around this point in time, Bong actually ends up leaving the mentorship of Thomas Lynch because Thomas Lynch actually ends up getting sent back over stateside because he needs to go on leave because he is being such a successful combat pilot that he has the most downed enemies out of anybody in the entire United States military at this point in time with 15. So Thomas Lynch is essentially getting sent home to protect him because he's America's top ace. The last thing they want to do is have him get shot down in combat. And right now in the media, everybody knows his name and like the other 9 of the top 10 aces, and everybody's trying to speculate who and if and when somebody.
What is this, leaderboard of a video game? Who's gonna be top of the Call of Duty? That's awesome. Right? Shit like that wouldn't happen like in today's world, right? But okay, so you bitch about alcohol, but you're fine with like glorifying, like who's top 10 leader. So you have no problem with pushing like, oh, kill as many people as you want, but don't give them alcohol. Is that what it is? That's just weird.
Is actually going to break Eddie Rickenbacker's record and become the new ace of aces. So a lot of the top guys at this point in time are all getting sent back stateside to do like war bonds drives, recruiting, improve morale, raise money, things like that. And this is going to actually end up giving Dick Bong a chance to catch up. So with Lynch stepping aside for the time being, Bong is now running the squadron, and on one of his very first missions, things just get weird. One of his wingmen has one of his engines go down, and he doesn't think that he's going to be able to limp it all the way back to the base, and he really doesn't want to try to land it at the base because P-38s at this point in time are very hard to come by. If you lose your plane, you might not get another one. So the last thing he wants to do is try to land it on the airstrip and accidentally end up taking out even more planes, because that's going to hurt the war effort even more. So they make the decision the best thing they can possibly do is for Yeager, this young pilot, to bail out, and then they'll just have to recover him. He'll live, the plane's gone. It's going to be what it's going to be. That sucks. So they're trying to limp this plane back and find a good spot for Yeager to bail out. Bong calls back to base and gets a smaller recon plane known as a Piper Cub up in the air, and they're going to help keep track of Yeager once he does bail out so that they don't lose track of him, so that they can recover him quickly. Now the ground rescue crew is also on the way. The Piper Cub finally shows up, gets eyes on Yeager. At this point, Bong is about to run out of fuel, so he's like, okay, Piper Cub, you're going to keep eyes on him. Bong goes back to base, lands, fuels back up, turns back around, and goes straight back to the lake to pull security in case any of the Japanese happen to find them, because the Japanese are well known for opening fire on any downed pilot or rescue crew that they can find. So Bong gets back to the lake. Remember, he's at a super high altitude because he wants to be able to see the enemy from as far away.
I don't get what Japanese were all about. Honor of what? You have no problem like attacking civilians, right? You have no problem attacking rescue crews. What honor is that? It's just like your honor. Like, I have to be badass, that's it. Like if I like surrender in a fight, then my honor's gone. Apart from that, like fuck it, like just like do Nanking level of shit. Let's not go into detail. Let's like shoot like civilians, like, you know, like rescue things or whatever. Like that's all fine. That doesn't affect honor, is that it? That's insanity.
Way as possible. He's not really concerned about what's going on with the men on the ground. So from his perspective, he sees that it looks like Yeager's made it to the shore of the lake. He seems to be all right-ish. Maybe he broke his leg. Who knows? We have no idea. The rescue crew, for whatever reason, decided that the fastest way they were going to be able to get to Yeager was to be able to take a rubber raft across the lake rather than skirting around the edge and fight in the jungle the entire time. So that seems fine. And then there's this big-ass log that's kind of like floating near that raft, right? So everything seems to be going just fine. So Bong radios over to the Piper Cub pilot and he's like, hey, I'm up above you.
Log is crocodile, right?
If you need anything, let me know. I'm right here. The Piper Cub pilot radios back frantic. He's like, dude, there's a fucking giant crocodile swimming up to the raft right now. That's not a log, that's a crocodile. Bong immediately dives and goes and he strafes this crocodile. And here's the thing with this that I forgot to mention during the P-38 chapter where I talked about the plane. As you already know, it's got 4 50 caliber machine guns, each of which is well capable of killing a crocodile. And then it has a 20mm cannon, which is super duper capable of killing a crocodile. The thing is,
Yeah, 50 cal is like 14mm. So 20mm is much higher, right? 20mm is also like anti-material round, right? But it's like proper anti-material. Like you have to like, you know, it has to be, the gun has to be properly like, you know, bolted down type of way if you're gonna shoot that, because recoil is insanity. So yeah, that's overkill, right? With that many cannons, 4 or 5 cannons, damn.
It's only got one trigger and it fires all of them. So yeah, the crocodile's dead. It basically gets aerosolized instantly. The crew rescues Yeager. Everybody makes it back to the base. Hooray. Then everybody starts giving Bong shit like, hey, you know, we always paint a flag on the side of our plane when we down an enemy. Are you going to paint a crocodile on the side of yours? Should we double back and see if we can get the crocodile's body and make some handbags out of it? What are you guys thinking? Then the media gets a hold of it and they run the story. They got funny headlines like lightning strikes Gator, Gator versus lightning, all kinds of crazy stuff. But regardless, it kind of fuels into Dick Bong's legend, and he is now on everybody's radar as the ace pilot / crocodile killer. So the media starts.
All of that. I like how killing a gator is just enough of a unique thing for him to put on a map. That's the thing, right? You need to be put on a map. Even if you're someone who's like really good, if you like go unnoticed, like yeah, people are not gonna remember you that much.
Giving Dick Bong a lot more attention, but he doesn't pay much attention to it. He just keeps doing his job. He's growing into his shoes as the leader. He's going out, he's leading missions, and then he gets another kill and another, and then 2 more here, 2 more there. Next thing you know it, Bong is a double ace with 10 confirmed down enemy aircraft. So now, not only is Bong the crocodile hunter, but he is also rapidly catching up to his mentor, Thomas Lynch, for having the most confirmed kills in the entire United States military, and he is now in the running to become the new ace of aces. And right around this time, one of Bong's wingmen requested an audience with General Kinney because he had to tell him something about his star pilot, Dick Bong. This young pilot shows up in the office and tells General Kinney, "Sir, he's given away Japanese." And General Kinney is like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And he proceeds to tell this story about how they were out on a mission, and Bong shoots up this Zero to the point that, like, it's going down. The wing is literally tearing off the side of the cabin. At which point, Bong peels off and instructs his wingman to finish shooting that Zero down, even though it was already going down. And this young pilot figures like, okay, well, maybe he's just like training me. Maybe he wants me to get target practice. I have no idea while he's doing this. Then they land, they get back from the mission, and Bong comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, I saw you down that Zero. I'm willing to sign off on it so that you get that confirmed kill." At which point, this young pilot is like, "No, you had that. It was already done. It was over with by the time I shot at it. That's your confirmed downed enemy." At which point Bong is like, "Look, you shot it last. It's yours. If you don't take it, I'm not gonna, so it's just gonna go untaken." At this point, General Kinney just smiles, tells this young pilot, "Look, whatever happened, that's between you and Bong. You guys can figure it out. You're dismissed." He leaves the room. General Kinney realizes that Dick Bong is being an exceptional leader. He's not trying to be a glory hog. He's not caring about this race to be the ace of aces. He's just going out there trying to make sure that he...
I assumed he's doing that so he doesn't become like the Thomas, basically, and become best your ace of aces and sent home to get protected or something. So he's making sure he stays at Pacific Theater, I'm guessing. That was my guess. Obviously that too, being a leader and all that, but I think that element is there. He doesn't want to get sent back home.
He gets the job done effectively and keeps everybody as safe as possible. Now, that being said, General Kinney was also kind of interested to find out just how much of a badass his starfighter pilot was at this point in time, so he kind of started to keep track the best he could and try to figure out what Bong's criteria was as to when he took the kill and when he gave it away. And what he was able to figure out was he figured that for every 2 kills that Bong took, he gave 1 away. So Bong could have easily ran up the scoreboard and padded his stats to be an even more impressive pilot than he already was, but he cared about his men more. And this would become even more apparent about a month later. He's racked up 5 more confirmed downed enemy aircrafts, tying him with his mentor Thomas Lynch for 15. If he shoots down 1 more enemy plane, he becomes America's current ace of aces in World War II and the most likely man to break Eddie Rickenbacker's record. And he's out on a mission and he does just that. He downs 1 more enemy aircraft, and then he looks over and he sees that one of his wingmen has an engine down and he's desperately trying to limp his plane into the clouds as a Zero is closing in on him. Bong now has a decision to make. On one hand, he's the new ace of aces. He knows it. When he lands this plane, if he makes it home safe from this mission, he might never fly again. He probably doesn't have to if he doesn't want to. They'll ship him back home to America to sell war bonds where he can party and live up the high life for the rest of forever. He's a celebrity now. On the other hand, his guy needs help. He immediately dives and positions his P-38 in between his friend and the Zero in such a fashion that the Zero either has to veer off course or drive directly into Bong's plane, killing both of them. The Zero veers off, but now Bong needs to get his guy more time to be able to make it into the clouds so that the Zero...
Isn't that a risk though? Japanese Zeros are known for like... Or was that not a thing around this time? Like it was later, kamikaze shit, right? Because it would make sense if it wasn't a thing now, but later on they just like when they're running out of like good pilots and like ammunition and things, they just decide to do that shit. But if they were known for kamikaze around this time, that was kind of like an insane gamble. What if like he decided to screw it and just like slam the plane, killing all of them, right? Both planes.
Doesn't get back on his tail. And the only way he can think to do that is to become a more enticing target so that the Zero tries to down him instead. So Bong shuts off one of his engines and then starts jerking the controls left and right and up and down, making the plane look unstable and like he's desperately trying to level it out so he doesn't crash. The Zero interprets this as Bong's about to go down, so he veers off towards Bong because he wants the for sure kill. So Bong basically baits this Zero away from his wingman, and then once he gets far enough away that his wingman's in the clouds and he should make it home safe, Bong starts the second engine and attempts to outrun him, at which point the Zero opens fire and shoots the cab, but Bong is just out of there because his plane is so much faster.
See you, chump.
Couple minutes later, the Zero ends up giving up. It peels off. Bong's making his way back to the airstrip, and then suddenly the P-38 starts shaking violently, and Bong is like, what the fuck is going on? He's looking around. He turns around and looks, and the ass end of his plane is, well, half of it's just not there. Apparently that Zero had hit him with way more machine gun fire than he had thought, and he needs to be able to get this plane down now.
So this person is not there. Is that it? Like stabilizer, basically.
Bailing out isn't really an option because there's Japanese all over the place and they're going to kill him or strafe him with machine gun fire the second he gets into his parachute. So he's got to try to land it somewhere. He knows that there's a nearby island that the Marines had just captured that they were working on building an airstrip on, but it wasn't finished yet. Okay, not a great option, but it's literally the best option he has. His options right now are land in the jungle or land on a partially built runway. So he opts for the runway. He radios ahead to the base like, hey, get the construction crews off that runway. I'm coming in hot. I'm about to wreck my plane. So he goes in, he lands, does everything he can to get this plane stopped in time, but it's just not possible. Ends up overshooting the runway and driving into the ditch in front of it. While he wasn't able to stop all the way on the runway, he was able to slow down enough that the ditch stopped him and he was able to walk away without a scratch on him. Upon inspecting his plane, he had been hit over 50 times from the Japanese Zero, with multiple rounds being stopped by the cockpit armor and saving his life. Dick Bong had almost died, yet somehow not even gotten hurt. It's a classic case of plot armor, and he is now also the top ace in World War II, and he doesn't even have a plane. That P-38's complete.
Or maybe good engineering, right? That armored tub is important. I'm guessing A-10 Warthog has a similar thing, right? I didn't know that was a thing before I realized that A-10 Warthog has that. So basically, any plane that is like supposedly made to absorb attack is gonna have that kind of tough thing, because in modern planes, usually like Mark 2, Mark 1.5 and shit like that, is usually like either if you get shot, you're done, or you're just not gonna get shot because it's so high speeds. Back then, like with this kind of speeds, yeah, it was like assumed you're gonna get shoot at many times. Same thing with the A-10, because it's like attack plane for the ground, right? People are gonna shoot it back. So this top thing is really important.
Garbage now. And for most pilots, if you lost your plane, you probably weren't going to get another one for a long time, meaning that you were going to be grounded. However, this is Dick Bong, the top ace of World War II. They got him a new plane in like 2 weeks. So that's great. But the real problem that comes into play is now General Kinney's chain of command, you know, the top bosses are like, okay, well, your boy Bong is the top ace of World War II right now. We need to get him home. We need to keep him safe. We don't want him getting hurt. He's a celebrity. He's the crocodile killer. But General Kinney knows Bong better than any of these guys, and he knows that Bong isn't interested in being the ace of aces. He's not going out there taking every kill he can. He's not trying to get stats. He's going out there and doing his job to the best of his ability and trying to save as many of his men as he possibly can. And for that reason, General Kinney wants him to be the #1 guy. But he also realizes that maybe that's not fair to Bong either, and maybe Bong does want to go back home, and that should be his reward if that's what he wants. So he kind of very tactfully puts the ball in Bong's court and gives him the choice of what he wants to do without actually doing that. And the way he goes about doing that is he tells Bong, hey, when you get 20 confirmed kills, I'm sending you home for 2 months for vacation. And he knows that this means that Bong is going to pick and choose when he hits that 20 kill mark, because he knows that Bong isn't a glory hound. He'll shoot down 20 enemy planes and give all the kills to his men if he wants to, and that's his choice to make now. So naturally, Bong does what any Midwestern farm kid would do, and he perfectly times him hitting 20 confirmed down enemies so that he makes it home to Wisconsin just in time for deer season.
I don't just knock them out, I pick the round.
So Bong gets back to America.
Are you kidding me, right? He's like, wait a minute, when's the deer season? Oh yeah, so yeah, let's do the math on that. There you go. That is insane. This dude is badass, right? This dude is also like, like honorable in a way that he's like giving away, like being a leader. Being a leader is a really hard thing if you don't have that much of an experience in the field. Usually people are hotshot like, oh, I just want to be an ace. I want to be ace of ace, and like thinking about your number. Being leader takes experience, so whatever experience he has, he doesn't have that level of experience. So it's really good to see that like he's being a leader before his goal from the start, right, was to like become the best, and he's not trying to do that. He's trying to do what's right, which is really good. But yeah, right, well, we're gonna stop here. I'll do the second part after this, I guess. This story has been really good. It's finally about Pacific Theater and ace of aces, basically dogfight, right? This is Top Gun, but like I guess better. I don't know, without much of beach volleyball and all that horseshit. So this is actually good. All right, I guess I'll see you next time.